Have you ever had that moment where everything looked fine on the surface, but something inside you whispered, this isn't right? Not because of what they said, not even because of what they did, but because of what you felt. You just felt it. You couldn't even explain it. It was just a feeling. And today we are talking about the biggest red flag no one talks about when it comes to encountering narcissists, when it comes to dealing with narcissists. And we call it an inner dissonance. That inner dissonance, that invisible tag in your spirit that says this is off. It's just there. You can't even explain to another person if they asked. My name is Iyabo Oyawale, and by the grace of the Almighty, I'm a narcissistic abuse survivor, and on this channel I share biblical wisdom for dealing with the scourge, the pain, and the mess of narcissistic abuse. And if you're serious about healing from narcissistic abuse, you're gonna hit the subscribe button right away in order for you to become a member of this strong and supportive community where we hold hands virtually in our fight against narcissistic abuse. Thank you for subscribing. If you just did, remember to turn on notifications to be notified when we go live, as well as post new videos. Now, we often look for red flags in behavior, that is lies, manipulation, cheating, control. But the most dangerous red flag is the one that hides in plain sight. And that involves your spirit feeling disturbed, and yet you go ahead and ignore it. You smiled. You nodded. You've convinced yourself to be quote and unquote understanding, to quote and unquote give them the benefit of the doubt. But deep down, you felt your peace leaving the room. You felt your peace abandoning you in that instant. And so let's look at this from the psychological as well as a spiritual perspective. And psychologically, this is called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. It's when your beliefs, your values, or your intuition are in conflict with your environment. That is what we call cognitive dissonance. Your brain tries to rationalize in that moment, and you say, maybe I'm overreacting, quote and unquote. And you can also say, maybe I'm just too sensitive, quote and unquote. But your nervous system doesn't lie. Your nervous system is speaking the truth, because your body keeps the score. Your body keeps the score of trauma. And so your heart races, your stomach knots, your chest tightens. But you still rationalize, you still ignore the red flags. And when your chest tightens, your stomach knots, and your heart races, it's not anxiety. It is your intuition screaming through your physiology. It is your intuition screaming through your body. It is your intuition screaming through your mind. And personally, I also experienced this biggest red flag, but I ignored it. And I landed in narcissistic abuse. However, I got out by God's grace and just compiled the 11 things I did to quit in a free ebook, which you can also get a copy of. To get a copy, simply send the word hacks in the comments, HSCKS in the comments. Do it right away. Don't procrastinate, because we're waiting to send you a copy right away. And so cognitive dissonance, that is what you are experiencing. And secondly, let's look at it from the spiritual perspective. Spiritually, this is called discernment. And when I did the video on you don't need closure and an apology, I talked about the fact that you need discernment instead of closure or an apology to move on from a narcissist. And discernment is very powerful in the spiritual equation, because God often speaks not in thunder, but he speaks in the stillness. And Romans 8:16 says the Spirit himself bears witness with our spirit. And so that thing you're feeling, that discomfort you're feeling, that unease you have, That's your spirit sensing something is wrong. Something is spiritually misaligned. That is your spirit telling you to be careful. That is God warning you. And over time, I've come to realize that red flags are God's warning signals to us. And I've got a video on the subject. I will link to it in the description. And when God wants to protect you, he doesn't always send a storm. Sometimes he sends a whisper. When Elijah was frustrated and depressed, God spoke in the still small voice. And when we ignore that whisper, we walk into battles we were never meant to fight, relationships we were never meant to enter, and pain we were never meant to carry. And that is what is happening to most of us, because I also experienced pain I was never meant to carry in narcissistic abuse. But I got out by God's grace and just compiled the 11 things that helped me to quit in a free ebook, which you can also download for free. Just send the word hacks in the comments to get a copy of the free ebook, HACKS, in the comments. Do it right away. Don't procrastinate. Thank you. If you just did that, it means a lot. And so you asked for a sign, and you asked for wisdom, and he gave you peace as your compass. That is what God does. Anything that gives you clarity and peace is from God. But when peace left, you stayed. Why? When peace left, I stayed. Why? And that caused a lot of issues. That caused a lot of problems. And having said that, one way that I help this community to the glory of God is Oyawale Live, which we do every Saturday, 12 noon WAT. And we go live on this channel every Saturday, and we talk about different aspects of narcissistic abuse. And this Saturday, we're going to talk about narcissistic cheating. And if you've experienced narcissistic cheating, I tell you, you got to be in this class, because we're going to talk about how to heal and what to do about it. And so why do we ignore these red flags? Why do we ignore it? Here's the truth no one wants to admit. We often ignore this red flag because we are afraid. Yeah. Afraid of being alone, afraid of starting over, afraid of seeming quote and unquote too picky. But fear is a poor guide. Fear is a poor director. Fear is a poor guardian. And your spirit was never meant to live in bondage to what looks good but feels wrong. And so it looks good, but it feels wrong. And so you don't have to ignore it. And then how do you honor that inner voice? How do you honor that inner critic, that voice that is talking to you? No, it's not your inner critic. It's the inner voice telling you what to do. So what do you do when everything looks right but feels wrong? The first thing to do is to pause, PAUSE. Don't rush past the unease. Sit with the unease. Journal it. Pray over it. Ask the Lord for what? Guidance. Secondly, ask God for clarity, not confirmation of what you want, but truth. And so ask the Lord for clarity, not a confirmation of what you want, but truth, even if it costs you your comfort. Thirdly, trust your body and your spirit. If peace is absent, don't stay out of obligation. Don't stay out of alignment. And then fourth thing to do is choose alignment over attachment. You don't owe anyone your peace. And so go ahead and choose alignment over attachment. Now, the biggest red flag no one talks about is the one you feel, not the seen one, not the proven one, just the one you know. It's just the known one. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't need explanation. It is the validation. And so that you're feeling, honor it. That unease that you feel, honor it. Because God doesn't just speak in signs. He speaks in peace. He speaks in clarity. He speaks in wisdom. He speaks in peace. And when peace leaves, pay attention. Very, very important. Pay attention. Don't joke with it when peace leaves, because that is a confirmation of what you need to do. And so in closing, I would like to say, if this message spoke to something deep in you, you're not alone. Other people have experienced this. And I tell you, you can overcome with what I've shared in this video. So go ahead and like this video, comment, and also share this video with someone who needs it. And if you've ever felt this silent red flag, let me know in the comments. And remember, your spirit knows, trust it. Your body knows, trust it. Don't forget to always check our community page as well as descriptions to every video for updates you can benefit from. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in my next.